Uh, does anyone from the audience have something to share? Manoj?
Can you speak loudly?
Yeah.
He has a very loud voice.
We will.
I can hear him from 2 districts.
So, fortunately, unfortunately.
Please come in front. Please, don't worry.
I myself have seen 2 divorces in my own family, and I believe divorce has something more to it. Sometimes it really happens that two, my brother is a good person, my sister is a good person, but the first marriage didn't work out. Yet, it is because people are incompatible, and that is something that the law still does not recognize. So we need to understand that now, after the second marriage, they are doing very well, both of them. So the unfortunate way of looking at divorce is something that is wrong, is something that we should not accept. Rest of the world, it's another extreme where they get married and divorced so many times they don't remember how many times they got married. So that's a different extreme. Here, divorce is so difficult that most of the times people live in abusive relationship because it's difficult to get divorced. The second thing I would like to talk about is misuse of women-centric law. Though I'm not an advocate, I am an evidence expert, and I come across many cases related to people, and I see that there is heavy misuse of gender-centric laws by women. Now, statistics are difficult to know because many times she's genuinely facing a problem. Many times she wants something, she doesn't get it, she's misusing the law. We cannot deny that men's rights are also violated. Yes, the society is still men-centric. There are lots of places. Most of the times, women are not being treated well. But at the same time, many empowered women misuse the law is an equal truth. Yes.
So the focus of our study is, like I said, proactive and preventive. So the cases which I have analyzed, I have seen that lot of root causes of that failure of marriage are before the marriage itself. Lack of proper decision making, lack of expectation setting, hidden things, knowingly, unknowingly, fears, or old beliefs that बाद में accept कर लेंगे, the person will succumb, शादी के बाद कुछ नहीं कर सकते, बच्चे हो जाएंगे तो सब लोग भूल जाएंगे. So I want to know that from your experiences, lot of other than this is the actual, the matrimonial fraud which Vaishali you handle, right? That in first place itself, that is not done with a good intention. So can such cases, the genuine cases where lack of expectation setting or all those things, if they're handled, can the success rate be improved? Can we have some solutions where the root cause of the marriages are before the marriages, if they're handled well through proper decision making and guided thinking and ensuring that everything is considered and then right expectations are set? How many such cases are you seeing? Because I spoke to many women, they said, okay, हम लोगों ने ठीक से चौकशी नहीं केली, we were seeing the red flags, they gave us wrong information, educational status, policy status, job status was hidden or wrongly told. So can these cases be, if they are handled before marriage? How many such cases are you seeing, Vaishali?
Thank you, Suchita, for that question. So, when I got my first matrimonial, I don't even know whether to call it a matrimonial fraud case, but as a larger definition, let us say when a man and a woman meets online with the intention of getting married, not with the intention to date, but maybe on a matrimonial side, so that the further intention is to maybe know each other online and then meet offline and get married. So that expectation is set that the ultimate result is going to be marriage. So that is where I'm coming from. So when I went to the first case many years back, this lady had over a period of time transferred about 45 lakhs to that man. And I was so angry with her when she was talking to me. She was all broken and she had brain fog. She could hardly speak. She was, palms were sweating. She was very nervous. And she said, so I said, from where did you have so much money just to be able to transfer? So she said, I just recently sold an apartment and actually that money was parked because it was to be used for my son's education. But I did this mistake. And over a period of time, even I have matured as a lawyer now from where I started. Now I realized my reaction was wrong because even I had indulged in victim blaming. Because I could not fathom the idea as how can a medical professional who she was, single, wanting to get married, could have indulged into an act so stupid, right? We all think how stupid. But all the women that I have met afterwards, maybe about 25 and without any exaggeration, all have been highly qualified working professionals who have succumbed to this. So root cause analysis, there's so much for you to do. What I think and analyze every time when I talk to these women, one is it is a targeted fraud. So it means that the women have been targeted. So there has been a lot of data that has been collected by those scamsters, which are extremely sophisticated syndicates who are operating in that. So they are extremely smart, equipped, and also have a great understanding of women's psychology, of how the society works. So that is where it all starts from. If I look at it from the victim side, whatever I've spoken to all these women, most of the times this extreme one societal pressure of even the family wanting her to remarry, the extreme loneliness of the single women, which happens because of you and me, because we have held marriage as a sacrosanct institution and that ultimate happiness lies in a married life, which means single women are by default unhappy. So for her to get into that definition of a happy woman, she is going to all forms of these lengths. And as I said, this loneliness is because all our institutions are couple based, if I can say, or family based. There are very few places where single women find peace, dignity, respect. They're always looked at as, bichari. So this is a great driving factor for them to look for a partner. Second is, as I said, they are extremely sophisticated people who are indulging in this crime. What does even like a highly qualified, supremely intelligent woman wants to hear is those soft words. And she wants somebody to hear her. Somebody who will give her a lending ear about, her problems, difficulties at work, how she has to deal with people, society, parents, children, all of that. And he is trained to do that. He is trained to do everything that a woman expects from a man. And that is the second trap. And the third I feel is empowered women have another mental condition that now because I have the money, so what, I can support him. Because that's another form of empowerment. So in the earlier time, and all these women who have been targeted are women having money. So women who are single, either divorced or unmarried, working women having money. Which means somewhere even that characteristic has been exploited by the fraudster, that okay, you can also, okay, even I can support you, that's how even my self-worth, how I define my self-worth, that I'm going to support the man in my life, and so what, because that is where equality definition is now changing, right? Women have done all of this, and they have been I won't go into detail because there are a lot of complexities when it comes to the cases. It's not just one, and it's not just over a period of 1 month or 2 months. These are the way child grooming happens. It's over a period of time, where the emotional investment of the woman is really, really very high. There is emotional investment, sometimes there is sexual interaction that happens, intimate images get shared, and the complexity just builds up. And over a period of time, she not only feels emotionally trapped, otherwise also she feels trapped because she's already transferred some money. There are some intimate images also already in his hand. So from all sides, she's feeling that there is no way out. The problem with these cases, which I had earlier also said, is there is no matrimonial law which becomes applicable. No domestic violence because there is no domestic relationship. Women have lost money. So if I go to the police station, the first thing, the way I did, I'm guilty of that. For the first case, my reaction was of anger. And I felt, how stupid can this woman be? That is what the reaction is at any police station. अच्छा इतने पैसे थे आपके पास, अच्छा ऐसे दे दिए, so it's almost a laughing stock. And she goes to another level of trauma for that. People around her also, they are blaming her for this stupidity, for loss of money. Children are blaming her. So it's really, I think sometimes it's worse than, going through a divorce, because you don't even have the sympathy of a woman going through a divorce. And there is so much of defamation that, so most of the times women don't report. They say, chalo, theek hai, itne lakh rupees gaye, but I don't want to report, I just want to come out of it. So this is a reality. Much work has not happened on it. Reporting is very low. If I am talking of 25 cases which I have handled, there are 2,500 cases which are happening for sure. I don't have statistics and data, but I have a feeling that there's so much happening out there that women are not reporting for all these various reasons.
So, can I add to that?
So I'll give you the societal and the legal aspect for this, right? And let me give you another perspective for this. And your question is very nice. So first, societal, let's look at it in a very societal manner. In the society, I'm pretty much against this word called ardhangini, because this half thing, the whole feeling of, a man can complete you. And that is why it is important, marriages are very important, is not right. और अगर आप हमारे बुजुर्गों से बात करोगे, if you talk to the so-called experts, they will give you the example of Shiva and Shakti and why Ardhangini came into being, right? But we need to understand that Shiv was a different form and is prayed to in a complete form. And Shakti with all her power was a complete form, right? So it is, marriage is an institution that we need to teach our young girls that 1 + 1 will come together, you are complete. So there has to be a me, a you and a us. So let's be very clear on this. Now what does it translate to a legal terminology? Earlier on, India was focused on arranged marriages. Now in arranged marriages, because we were socially active, we were living in villages, it was more interactive. Parents after a certain age had a lot of relatives that were connected. So it was easier to get a match whom you knew everything about. Right? The first of the online frauds in marriage, where did it happen? It happened in Punjab. Because most often than not, the people in Punjab were settled in Canada, and then when they would do a matrimonial site here, most of these kabutar agencies would also catch hold of wives which would go to Canada and maybe couple up as a maid, because getting a maid in Canada or in the US was very, very difficult, right? But to young parents, the society is changing, because today parents are not so social, and hence the only retort for doing an arranged marriage, if your child turns around and says, now I don't have anybody for marriage, so the only retort to a arranged marriage is an online platform. So should we need to have laws? Because there needs to be laws. And should there need to be an audit? Because everyone sitting here, we all know that social media is not real. Reels is real and real is real. So like social media, how you make up a good Instagram story and everyone looks very happy and everyone looks very beautiful and everybody is only roaming around the entire world. Exactly the same thing online. When I am giving an ad for my own child, I will definitely not say that, oh, he doesn't tidy up his room at all. So this is where system of audit and system of pre-counseling has to be mandated. Now, unfortunately, as Vaishali ji rightly said, Punjab now has laws that whenever there is an NRI village, there are state laws which talk about it. But across India, though Shadi.com became a unicorn business, yet there were no laws that followed back. And this is what is real empowerment of women, because this is where women get caught. And these are educated, self-sufficient women who get caught because there is no one regulation and there are no ways to audit it.
So मला एक जरा प्रश्न आहे ना, तुम्ही जे आता सांगितलं ना, तुम्ही आता आपण जे काही चर्चा करतो आहोत त्याच्यामध्ये बायकांवरती खूपच आपण फोकस ठेवलेला आहे. मगाशी मेन्स राईटचा विषय येऊन गेला ओझरता, पण तुम्ही जेव्हा आता तुम्हाला चौघींनाही मला हा प्रश्न आहे, चौघांनाही 3 वकील आहेत, तुम्ही काही मला वाटतं सामाजिक काम करत असाल किंवा शिकता आहात, तर तुम्हाला चौघांनाही मला हा प्रश्न विचारायचा आहे की तुम्हाला तुमच्या ह्या सगळ्या कामगिरीच्या वेळामध्ये पुरुषांचे प्रश्न समोर आले नाहीत का? आणि तुम्ही जास्तीत जास्त बायकांवरच फोकस करून बोलता आहात. ठीक आहे, आपण एका पितृसत्ताक व्यवस्थेमध्ये राहतो ते तर सगळ्यांना मान्यच आहे, अमान्य काही नाही. आणि मेजॉरिटी एक्सटेंटमध्ये अजूनही मुलींना डावलण्यात येतं शिक्षण देण्यामध्ये, आणि अर्थातच पुढच्याही कालावधीमध्ये ते डावलणे येतच. पुरुषाला पुरुष असल्यामुळे जन्मसिद्धपणाने तो सहजरित्या पुढे जातो, हे अगदी सगळ्या समाजामध्ये असंच्या असंच आहे. पण तरी सुद्धा बायका काही पुरुषाला कमी नाही क्षणत.
बरोबर आहे तुमचा मुद्दा. I'm sure we all will try and answer this. So definitely, as Vivek ji had very rightly said, the laws are equal for everybody. But now there is a concept also of what is equitable, and that the equitable part was taken under consideration when some laws were made specially for women, because historically, for all these years together, women were at the receiving end. So there are exceptions, men are at the receiving end. If I have to talk about my own practice, and especially the matrimonial frauds that we are talking about, I don't come across cases where men get drawn into some form of a fraud because of a promise to marry. When do they come into some form of a fraud? When there has been sexual intimacy, and when the woman has actually lured him into some form of a sexual act, and there is extortion. I get lots of cases where the recipient is a man. I don't get these cases where the recipient is a woman, where there has been a sexual intimacy and she has been lured into getting into some sexual intimate act online. This actually reflects a lot on still how men and women function. For women, marriage is something which is sacrosanct. Sex comes along with it. Again, I don't want to generalize. Times are changing, generations are changing. Younger people would want to explore that in a different manner. I am conscious of all that. But if I have to take a larger view, still, even today, why are we still talking of women's problems, and you still see a lot of programs still happening about women? Because we still don't have equal laws. And a very classic example of this is when a woman chooses to walk out of marriage, she does not walk out with 50% of the property, of the matrimonial property. And because of this inequality or inequitable distribution, women are quite choiceless in a bad marriage. And because, again, historically, men always have had the opportunity to education, opportunity to work, opportunity to be a breadwinner, whether he likes it or not. I'm sure there are so many men who would want to be a house husband, but society is not allowing you to be that. and we are actually pointing fingers at you that, oh, how bad that you're going to become a house husband. You know, I had asked myself this question when my daughter is still pursuing super specialty in her medical career, and whether she would opt for a house husband. I think it would work great for her. But I had asked myself this question, that despite all these lectures that I gave, would I be with open mind accept that? Because that's the gap, right, between the cup and the lip. So what we talk and what you do, there is a big difference. So we still are talking about women's problems because they are still at a much larger percentage than men. We are not denying that men don't have problems, but let's wait for the time when, you know, we need a panel to discuss men's problems. I am just waiting for that, let me tell you, where women are so empowered that men need a panel like this.
So historically, if you see the data of last 100 years, the crime or done against
That's okay. आपल्याला
That's my
माहिती आहे
perspective.
जुन्या काळापासून आपण ह्याच्यातनं सगळे रगडलेले गेलेलो आहोत, काय नाही असं काही नाहीये. पण मला अगदी जेन्युइनली वाटतं की बायका सुद्धा पुरुषांना चांगल्या छळतात. आज तुम्ही जे ऑनलाईनचं बोलतात ना, तर मुलांना पोरी सांगतात किती तुझ्याकडे डस्टबिन्स आहेत वगैरे, आणि सत्य आहे का खोट्या नाहीत गोष्टी. माझ्याच जवळच्या मुलांमध्ये हे असे प्रश्न आम्ही ऐकलेले आहेत. तुझं सेव्हिंग किती आहे, तुम्ही ऑन डेट तुम्ही बोलता आहात की मला तुझ्याबरोबर लग्न करण्यामध्ये इंटरेस्ट आहे, तुम्ही पहिलेच विचारता तुझ्याकडे सेव्हिंग किती आहे, तुझे एफडीज किती आहेत, तुझे आईबाप काय करतात आणि ते माझ्याबरोबर राहणार आहेत का, त्यांना उचलून फेकून द्या तिकडं. तुम्ही बायका असा प्रश्न विचारायला लागल्यावर, तुम्ही जसं मगाशी म्हणालात ना की आईच्या पोटातनं पोर येतंय, तर त्या पोराला पहिल्यांदा काय वाटेल तुम्ही विचार करा त्यावेळेला. आणि अशा वेळेला जसं बायकांना शिकवण्यात येत नाही की तुम्ही हे प्रश्नांना कसं हँडल करावं, तितक्याच पद्धतीने पुरुषांना पण हे शिकवण्यात येत नाही की तुला असा प्रश्न विचारल्यावर तू काय करावंस.
Exactly. So that's what I think you came late. So we discussed, so you know, mentoring, counseling, training, education, workshop is equally needed for all. But unfortunately today I see all programs, all mentoring, all educations, the NCW program, pre-marriage counseling is also done for women. We in last 2 weeks we have met 2-3 organizations. Everyone is counseling only women. That is the biggest gap. But the focus of our project is to see what can be prevented. So I'll tell you, one is about fraud, another thing is about illegal marriages. Like you spoke about NRI, right? In 70s my mother used to tell, and yesterday was also I was Simantini ma'am, we were talking to one of the psychologists. She said वो ज़माने में 80-90s में लड़के अब्रॉड जाते थे, 10 दिन 15 दिन के लिए आते थे, 15 दिन में शादी करके जाना है. And there is one economist couple, I think Sudha Murthy has written about it. They have rescued hundreds of women from US who were married from India, and when they were taken there, it was found that they already had a family. So this is actually, I don't know whether it is fraud or illegal marriage, but there is a book by Sudha Murthy. I think that book is about a different subject, Dollar Bahu, but I was told there is a couple, they are both economists, they are settled in US, and they were just working on rescuing those women back to India, and many times they were also pregnant. With respect to that, we were talking about, is there a way, transparency, because I have heard many cases where especially someone was married, the other person doesn't know, and he has gone ahead and done the second marriage. Because there is no way to verify, and then we tried to find out, you know, matrimony, how many marriages are registered, and can I apply, you know, if I give a 500 rupees fee to government and say, Sucheta Dele, can you check her data, is she married ever? That accessibility is not there, the data is not complete. Same thing about divorce. I know many fraud cases where the person is divorced, but he has not declared that. He's got married to someone else as a first marriage. Someone in Northeast or Kashmir or Kanyakumari comes here in Pune. There is no way to verify his past status, about his past marriage or even past divorce. So can such, you know, system improvements be brought? You know, it can be a paid service, it can be certain agencies doing that. In fact, we were talking about know your partner service. The most every woman I have spoken, most basic, वो बोली कि मुझे बताया गया कि मैं MBA कर रहा हूँ, लेकिन वो BCom ही था. उसने actually MBA में admission लेने का सिर्फ फॉर्म भरा था, लेकिन उसने बोला कि मैंने MBA किया है. Wrong educational status, wrong property status, wrong company status, wrong income, wrong property. Can this basic KYC? See, we are talking about prevention. See, because here, you know, see this, our project is not about man, women or man versus. Our research is about those people who want to still genuinely get married and their marriages have failed because of fraud or because of all these issues. How can they be prevented? I genuinely want to get married, but I did not have the complete thinking, my parents didn't have, so we did not do a holistic thinking. We missed on so many things, you know, which we didn't discuss, and they have uncovered, they have got unfolded and uncovered after marriage, and then we have realized the differences. I am seeing hundreds of cases like this. I have seen at least, 8 to 10 cases in last 10 years, Mumbai-Pune marriages getting cancelled. Because at least Mumbai ka Pune वहाँ नहीं आना चाहता, Mumbai के Pune. Second thing I have seen, one important case where people are discussing after marriage whether I want to have kids or not. I have seen dozen of cases in my whole childhood till now कि शादी किया भाग के पेरेंट्स के विरोध में, next day morning one of them has backed out because of the pressure from their parents or their inability to face the parents. Now the other partner who took the stance, जिसने हिम्मत दिखाई उसके साथ भाग जाने की, वो प्रॉब्लम में आ गए. ये सब मैं ये देख रही हूँ कि ये जो हम अवॉइड नहीं कर सकते हम नहीं कर सकते, जो अवॉइडेबल है, क्योंकि उसको अगर हम काउंसिल करते, सिमुलेशन देते कि बाबा तुम में ये हिम्मत है क्या, तुम ये स्टैंड ले रहे हो, उसके लिए ऐसी पर्सनालिटी चाहिए, कल ये होगा, आर यू विलिंग टू फेस, आर यू विलिंग टू स्टैंड बाय. ये see these are genuine cases according to me, because the causes of those are, by default before marriage only कुछ गड़बड़ हुआ है. So we are talking about that. The project we have divided is into 3 phases: pre-marriage, during marriage, post-marriage. So in pre-marriage we are saying that I want to ask this to all of you: can a guided thinking, step-by-step decision and discussion making tool, which is completely unbiased, we are not influencing, we are not giving decisions, we are not telling what is right or wrong, we are telling that ये 1 lakh या 1 crore marriages इंडिया में हुए हैं, इनका डेमोग्राफिक टोपोग्राफिक ये है, उनके साथ ये problems हुए हैं. If it is matching with your similar cases, there is what are the challenges with the pilot profession, what are the challenges with when a person is abroad in merchant navy, you are doing intercaste marriages, either full-fledged marriages एकदम नहीं हो रहे तो intercaste. What kind of skills, qualities, competencies, outlook you need to have to sustain? Are you prepared for that? Can those who want to genuinely get married and they are failed because of such reasons, right? Can those be prevented by taking proper steps? And what incentives can we give? Mandate is a difficult thing, but can we incentivize? Can we motivate? Can we show them the carrot to get counsel? Because counseling is still considered as a taboo in India. I know some cases अभी भी वो मुझे counseling की ज़रूरत नहीं, because वो counseling को ही पहले इतना taboo है. Whereas so this self-awareness, personal development, building, I have done 8 to 10 self-awareness trainings as a part of my leadership programs in Microsoft, Landmark Forum Education Society, Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung, Tavistock Method of International. That gave me so much awareness about myself, and so those awareness are not there. People are not self-aware. When we took some pilot, people don't have preferences. When you go and we created a questionnaire of 84 questions, they were not able to answer because they have not thought about it. Many people, they don't know, what are the consequences. I have seen hundreds of cases in one of the largest women community in Pune where there is a discussion post-marriage that my in-laws are forcing me to change my name. I don't want to change because now women are getting married at 30, they have established their man. मेरा LinkedIn profile है, ये सुचेता ढेरे एकदम अनीता कुलकर्णी बन गई, तो कैसे लोगों को समझेगा, right? So और वो एक issue है, ऊपर से means बाकी सब हजारों documents change करो, ये करो. But this is not discussed. It's simple things. This is assumed. This is कि उसने भी नहीं डिस्कस किया, इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं लगा, इनको लगा ये तो ऐसे ही होता है, नाम बदलना ही है ये। द बिग कॉन्फ्लिक्ट इज बिटवीन ट्रेडिशन एंड लॉ। व्हाट इज ट्रेडिशन? रीत क्या है? ये रीत है, नाम बदलना ये रीत है, कोई लॉ नहीं था। अभी वी आर वर्किंग ऑन फाइंडिंग द ओरिजिन ऑफ दैट, बट पीपल ऑफन गेट स्टक विद दिस tradition versus law. If that is the problem, confusion, which one should override? Law, right? What is the law saying? Right? So I am a fellow at Change.org. So we work with a lot of petitions. So my first question is means we are trying to create a polls of 1,000 questions. लड़की लड़के के घर शादी करके जाती है, ये क्या है? ये कहाँ से ओरिजिनेट हुआ? ये एक ट्रेडिशन है, राइट? इसका ओरिजिन क्या है? क्योंकि अभी ये भी डिस्प्यूट्स हो रहे हैं ऐसे कि लड़कियां बोल रही तुम मेरे घर आओ, तो ये क्या है? अभी बाय लॉ क्या है? कैन यू टेल मी, इज देयर अ लॉ? वेयर डिड दिस ओरिजिनेट फ्रॉम? 100 years ago, you know? So we want to start from there. Why should I go? I mean, I really cannot understand. I am educated, I am financially independent, my parents brought me out very well, everything. For no reason, I'm happy with my. Why should I go to someone's family, change my name, then prove myself, get accepted there? Because I have seen that. Okay, now you have to prove yourself, all your qualities. You have to prove yourself. You have to pass lot of tests, then get accepted. I have attended in my family whose niece was rejected. लड़की देखने आए थे क्योंकि उसने पूछा, वो झारखंड और ये हुआ ना, बिहार और झारखंड जब विभाजित हुए, मैं भी तब चाइना में थी, मुझे भी नहीं पता था ये हुआ, तो वो आंसर नहीं दे पाई। तो वो बोला था दीदी वो उसके बाद पैदा हुई, लेकिन मैंने बोला उसका शादी से क्या संबंध? वो मुझे बता रहा था कि वो आंसर नहीं दे पाई। तो इस तरह से उसकी परीक्षा ले रहे हैं। तो ट्रेडिशनली इफ यू सी, राइट, आई डोंट नो व्हाई शुड आई गो, आई मीन, and these kind of issues are also happening. So